Hi, so I'm Peter Johnson. I'm an engineer at Jaguar Land Rover. I've been here since 2018. I've been asked to share some thoughts about Black History Month. Toadie has roped me into that one, so thank you for the invitation. If I was an animal, what would I be? I think we discussed this before, and I said I was going to be a tortoise. So sort of carrying the world on my shoulders and everything I need to do. Trying to spend some time thinking about things, and may appear to be very slow from the outside, but constantly thinking about things on the inside. I'm driven by some internal forces, so I'm very driven towards work and take my identity from what I do at work. I don't think that makes me particularly unique, but the way that I grew up in Leicester, which is a very multicultural society, and worked in the centre of Leicester for a long time in a music shop selling musical instruments and sort of audio equipment. What was really great about that, my customers in Leicester were from the Afro-Caribbean, Asian, the religious communities as well. It was a really vibrant set of people all coalescing around music and the joy of producing predominantly live music, musicians from all sorts of backgrounds coming together in that one place in the corner of Leicester. Wherever I go, that sort of community experience. And then subsequently having worked for quite a while as a sound and lighting engineer and worked with lasers and so on. So I've done various concerts around the UK with lasers, and again a mix of Asian music concerts, broad experience of meeting lots of different people and around music and lighting. It's been absolutely fantastic. There's a lot. Now, what I've heard about recently, I've got that experience in people that I used to work with. I had some students that were working with me that lived locally in Coventry. And the experience was that they'd come to work and essentially say, we got stopped by the police again. But one of the kids, he was earning money. He was a young kid with a nice car driving around Coventry. He only worked for me for a year and got stopped by the police on a number of occasions. Well, is it because he's a young kid of colour driving around Coventry at night? And why should that be a problem? And it really made me angry. He kept coming back into work and saying that it was a problem. And you couldn't have met a nicer guy. That really upset me. And I think it probably should upset more people.
Absolutely.
What do you understand to be the angry African woman stereotype? Is it true or is it false? If so, how can we improve it? My mother's side of the family comes from a Jewish background, and I think that my grandmother was the sort of matriarchal stereotype. She was the centre of the family and knew what she liked and what she didn't like. And I see that commonality with strong black women who are the centre of their families. I guess passion and anger are probably quite close relations to each other, and tempers can boil over, but is it even a bad stereotype perhaps that you have these passionate, strong women in these families? I don't think it is. I grew up with this sort of strong female role models, which is, I think, fantastic. Can you share any similarities, differences between the African Caribbean cultures? We've already spoken earlier about that passion around music. The music's different, people are different, but the music, it can be a personal thing or it can be a community thing. If you go to the Afro-Caribbean Centre, it was all about the community. Music was at the centre of the community. And if you go to the Indian music halls, essentially, again, it had all the equipment laid out on the stage, and it was all about the community sharing of the music and the experience. I'm not religious, but I do have that sort of cultural heritage. And certainly that sort of Jewish experience. It was all about extended family, big families of cousins and going to the community centre and so on. So there's that similarity around the family centre, which I think is really strong.
What about the food?
About the food, we were always very lucky with food because my dad's a Christian, my mum's Jewish, and we had the good festivals of each. So Passover was one of the memorable sort of festivals where we'd come together, and it would be my mum, dad, grandparents and my uncle, all the extended family, cousins and their family, and have these festivals. We do the religious bit, and the food was probably the bit that people were really looking forward to.
So do you cook?
I do. So I wouldn't say I was a cook, but I make all of my own food, predominantly all the healthy stuff now, but I used to do a lot of curries and stir fries, not so much perhaps the more traditional dish food perhaps. One of the things that we've probably stopped doing quite much is some of the Sephardic Jewish food, which I think we need to get back into doing as a family. I miss the opportunity for my daughter to experience the same things that I experienced as a child. The cultural side of things and the food and the meeting with family, I think was fantastic.
Is your wife Jewish as well?
No, she's not. She would probably say she was a firm atheist. But celebrations were really about getting family together and having that community, eating together and preparing the food together. You don't have to be religious to enjoy that.
If wishes came true, what would you wish could happen to blacks?
I think that's a really difficult question, because one of the things that makes us who we are is the experience that we've led individually and collectively. My grandma came over to the UK in the 40s. She lived in Paris. She was a French Jew. There was in the run-up to the war, and during the war itself, it wasn't a good place to be. I think there's a lot of that Jewish experience of sort of forced migration, which is very common to the black community, have that shape, each with their own individual experience, but with a sort of experience. That forms who we are. So would I be who I was today if my grandparents and their family hadn't gone through that experience? I don't know. So if I wished it all away, I don't know where we'd all be. And that's the dilemma. There's the experience which gets us to where we are today, which forms us as individuals, which I don't think we could be without. But of course, if we would say, was slavery a bad thing, was forced migration a bad thing, was the Holocaust a bad thing, well, of course they were all bad things, and we wouldn't choose to do them again. Trying to wish those things away and pretend that they didn't happen, I think, is a mistake as well. But if we could change something in American politics or in any of lots of individual opportunities for change, death of Stephen Lawrence, for example, and that's come back into the news again recently. What would have happened? He'd have died, but we'd have done the investigation in a different way and had a different outcome and learned more quickly. Something would be different. I don't know what would be different, but there are real areas of just rotten outcomes that if we could have reversed some of those, then we could have progressed more quickly, perhaps. But difficult to tell. Without a crystal ball, it's difficult to tell what would be different. But I think that America could be further forward than they are, and I think we could probably be further forward than we are, and it wouldn't be such an issue to talk about some of these things more openly.
Now, Jem, be smashing. Subscribe, click the bell, like and follow for more. Thanks.